touch base with you, Anne-Marie, though of course I get briefed on your progress by Adewale.
Progress? That's an interesting word. I've been here for 5 years. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about some travel arrangements. At the moment, I'm quite challenged, I would say, in terms of travelling in the rush hour. So I was wondering if I could talk to you about maybe adjusting some of my start times, and also, where possible, an overnight stay for some of my training if it's a long journey, which would avoid me having to travel in the rush hour. So I just wanted to talk to you about that.
Well, that could be costly. And I can't really have you doing any less because we all have targets to meet. And, well, everyone has to deliver 140 days a year. Now, that's a given. But stopovers. Well, that's a budget matter, really. And as you know, every project is strictly costed. You'll have to talk to Nigel in resources about that. Anyway, we should be looking at your targets anyway. It's why I called you in. It's about more delivery rather than less, given your recent record. And, well, your way down this last quarter.
Well, that's news to me, I have to say. And Adewale has never mentioned that as my line manager. Although I have to say also that he rarely meets with me. He's supposed to meet regularly. I know other colleagues do have regular meetings, but I don't seem to. Anyway, I wanted to really sort of look at how can my travel be adjusted. Yeah, so any thoughts around how I can do that?
Well, why do you need your travel adjusted?
Well, as I said, because of my disability, it's actually difficult for me to travel in the rush hour. My consultant has said, to avoid it where possible. So I really, really wanted to talk about some adjustments around my disability.
Well, nobody else has to have their times adjusted. I think you just have to work with it, don't you?
Well, I have to say, Anna, that I know that, for example, my colleague Vanessa does have her travel times adjusted because of childcare responsibilities, which I don't have a problem with. But actually, that just shows me that it can be done.
Well, Vanessa delivers, that's the difference. And obviously, what she does and how she does it is between her and me. We don't mind reasonable adjustments. The key word here is reasonable. And you've been under-delivering anyway recently, according to Adewale. I wanted to bring this up with you. What happened to the national contract? Have you been underselling the bill timetable and spending more time on the project than we are actually being paid? I mean, that along with your missed targets makes you quite an expensive proposition, Anne-Marie. So perhaps not the best time to bringing up special treatment. At the end of the day, it's all about resources. So you'll have to talk to Nigel. He's got the figures, so he knows what's possible.
You see how the conversation has switched to me and my performance. It's now 4 weeks since that conversation and nothing's happened about adjusting my working day. And of course, Nigel just said he'd look into it. I'm not quite sure why it's become a budget issue, but I have noticed a change in attitude around me, more questioning about what I'm doing, more micromanagement, and Adewale has started coming along with me to client meetings. And that is so unhelpful. He's over pushy and insensitive. My regular clients don't like him. 2 of them have said maybe it would be better if he didn't come along.
When did we talk? Was it about 2 weeks ago?
No, actually, it was 4 weeks ago.
Oh, well, I wanted to talk to you again about your billable days. They're down. And according to Adewale, you've been uncooperative in discussing this. Now, I'm minded to make this attitude issue formal, you know.
My targets actually have always been unrealistic in my view. By the way, the National Theatre want to do quite a bit more work with me. I think that's good news. Did Adewale tell you about that?
What?
Why has all this scrutiny come up now? Just as I'm asking for some reasonable adjustments. You said you'd be sympathetic, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And I'm just wondering what's changed.
It hasn't just come up, and you're wrong to say the two issues are connected.
Well, no one has come up to me before and complained about my performance. Adewale never meets with me. He says, I've got an open door, I'm an approachable guy, come in and talk to me at any time. But it's as if it's my responsibility. And he's good at giving out instructions and telling me how to do my job. The irony is actually his door is always closed.
Apparently, you arrived late to a meeting last week, according to a client.
How did you find out about that? Look, it was a day where the central line was having serious problems. I was late. I arrived, but about half the delegates arrived late as well. We did the course. It went really well. We had a little bit of a joke about it. I actually went back to that client later in the week. And again, there was no issue. No one said it was a problem. And actually, even Adewale was late on that day. So, talking about travel, have you got any news for me on my request?
It's complicated, but we're looking into it.
I just feel she's building up this really negative swirl around me, picking on little things, watching me for mistakes, over-scrutinising the work. She operates through Adewale. It's kind of accumulating harassment, microaggression, but oddly it started when they realised my disability had more implication than just their sympathy. I'm also the only Black consultant on the team. Strange coincidence that. Maybe she thinks she's protected by Adewale being Black too. I'm torn between anger, of course, but also self-doubt. I feel really undermined and really undervalued.
I've got a great project here for you, Anne-Marie. Could you help out the Cozy Hearth Housing Trust? They've got race problems with residents. I know you used to work in housing, so it's a perfect fit. Chance to do some good work.
Sorry, I thought Vanessa does housing, so I'm not sure why I'm being given that work. Anyway, I'm quite busy at the moment, and I know that she's got some free time, so I think it should go.
Well, I think you're more suited. And after that conversation we had about your targets...
More suited? What exactly does that mean? Am I more suited because I'm Black and I can sort out racism?
Absolutely not. I find that quite disrespectful, actually, especially given my fusion family.
Well, it feels to me like I am being given that work because it suits the company and it doesn't suit me. And are you saying that because I can speak about race issues only because I'm Black? Yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. Anyway, I'm really busy at the moment. The regional theatre network has actually been contacted. I've been contacted by them because of my work at the National Theatre, and they're wanting to do a really huge project around access and inclusion. And I think that's a great, potentially quite lucrative piece of work. Did Adewale tell you about that?
Yes, of course he did. But please don't undersell and over-deliver again. I know it's difficult when you're involved with the people and you know them well and the project means a lot to you. I'm going to ask Adewale to come with you to the meeting. Keep an eye on the contract.
Okay. Speaking of travel, therefore, any more further forward, any news about my request, my unresolved request?
Well, to be honest, we have to wait until we see the end of quarter figures. But let's get these two contracts under our belts first, shall we? Yes? And then I can get back to you.
Okay. It doesn't feel right to me in a couple of ways. One, my disability is being ignored. And two, they don't seem to appreciate my challenging them on it. I definitely think there's racism in there. I'm meeting Andrea tonight. She's my HR friend. She's urging me to go formal and take out a grievance.